Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ. I'm here with Rage and Cypher. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Nets Kingdom 1 on Instagram and nextkingdom.net for your articles. Today we're going to talk about Yegor. Some call him Yegor, some call him Igor, but it's Egor Demin from BYU, 6'9" point guard. Is he, I saw a lot of Nets Twitter people, gassing up Yegor. He's the guy, he's our future of the franchise point guard. But we're gonna break it all down today. I'm gonna read what NBA draft notes on Igor, and he is the best playmaker in the draft. I just want to get that out there before I read these notes. Best playmaker passer in the draft. It says here, unique player with a rare vision and passing, 6'9" frame. Majority of his BYU freshman season highlights are passes and play creation. Raised around the game of basketball and his feel and IQ off the charts, makes things happen, finds lanes, can make the spectacular pass despite height and lean frame. He's not that weak. Does not easily get knocked off balance. Has a nice combination of speed, quickness, deception, and balance. Dribble drives and finds his spots, even handling stockier, more powerful defenders. Uses ball screens well, and he can hang a defender up on his hip, control the motion of the play. BYU played an NBA-style offense, which should translate well for Egor Demin. So I think Egor Demin's currently mocked. Well, if you look through his mocks online, a lot of Bleacher Report and the Ringside and Draft Express, they do have him. Some have him in the lottery. Some have him sliding a little bit out the lottery into that 18, 19 area. But I think he's stuck in that 14 to 18 area. You will say that? Am I right on that? 13 to 18. I think that's his range.
Yeah, you're right.
If you look on the mock drafts,
Yeah.
in like the consensus. Yeah, my thoughts on Yegor, and you know me, I'm a big fan of big guards, and I just love Yegor's passing. Like I was telling Rage about this. I remember I called him when I was like, yo, this guy's passing. He has like that that passing you can't teach where you have that sixth sensibility. You just know where guys are without looking. He has that kind of like, he throws guys open. Like he'll thread the needle and see a cross court guy hitting in the corner, and he'll just feel the guy there. Like I said, the feel and the IQ and the passing's off the charts. That is his mastery. That is what he's a master at. But then he does have a lot of weaknesses that does scare me. And the scary part about it is it going to translate to the NBA? Because the handle is not really elite. He doesn't have the ball on the string. I'm afraid if like faster guys get up on him, he'll just, hesitate. He doesn't have really a bunch of counters. His handle looks a little loose. Defensively, I feel like he's not the most athletic guy. That's the thing too. He's not a lot. He's not the most athletic guy. He doesn't have a lot of explosion and burst, but he's just so crafty. He has the angles, and we were just talking about this before. If I let you guys go, Franz, Josh Giddey, those are probably the best comparisons I think Igor has, because his like just a big guard that can play make, sometimes shoot. Like his mechanics are. We're gonna get to the shooting, but sometimes shoot. But his gift is playmaking. He can drive angles and create open looks for his teammates, and possibly make his teammates better because of his passing. But where do you guys think the Nets, if we had a chance at Yegor, where would you take Yegor? And then explain to me, what are you scared? What are you scared of with Yegor coming into the NBA? I'll get started off.
I'd probably say with Yegor, like ultimately, like we've talked, like you talked about, like it is a very, very interesting prospect and almost like kind of like a diamond in the rough type of guy where you're gonna have to develop him and he's gonna be a kind of a project.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like if we were to end up in a later spot in the draft, like we end up going 8 or 9, like worst case scenario, I don't think it would be a terrible decision to just take a chance on him.
Okay.
There's ultimately is a lot, like you said, quite a bit of flaws in the game, and there is, a little bit to worry about that.
Mhm.
But the possibility of having, a 6'9" type of guard in a Jordy Fernandez type of system, and just being able to translate that to like the modern NBA, especially with that type of half court play style he does have.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very, very insanely, like it's crazy to think about what that potential could lead up to with spacing and good NBA players that can get their own buckets, and just being in a process where he's able to develop correctly. Ultimately, if we get a higher pick and maybe we draft a forward, I wouldn't hate trading up for him, maybe to go
Mm,
up a few spots, but it would have to make sense. There's no point in overly trying to go crazy for him. Like if we end up with 5 or 6, but
yeah,
if we end up in like eight, if we go up to like 8 or 9, Kaman's not there, or we end up like later and we want to trade up for a little bit
yeah,
and just say I fit, we still have 3 more picks or 2 other picks. He's a good guy to take a chance on.
yeah. You can go ahead, Saif.
I mean, I was high on Igor going into the season. I believe he was projected to go top 6 or 7
Mm,
before the college season started. The problem with him is that, and look, I really like the archetype. Tall
right.
point guards, it's really great. To have a tall playmaker at that position,
Mm,
extremely valuable. The problem is offensively, he reminds me of Josh Giddey,
yeah,
where even though the passing vision is elite, like his passing metrics are incredible,
yeah,
uh, his scoring, like his ability to like get to the rim, score in the paint, shoot threes, draw fouls, it's not good at all. Like he is a negative scorer.
yeah,
And now the other comp that I see often is like Franz Wagner,
yeah.
where okay, if you could develop like the interior scoring of Franz Wagner,
Hmm.
then like he is going to be like a very very elite player. But that is a very big if. And with Igor, I don't know. I kind of wish he went back to BYU for one season to
Yeah.
really develop his game. But I think what happened was he kind of realized that hey, his stock is going to be, it's
Way
never going to
down.
be better. Yeah,
He'll be
never going to
probably
be.
further down in 2026 if he waits one
Yeah,
more year. He might be a second, not a
yeah.
second round. Probably not
He'll be a year
disrespectful.
older, and
Yeah,
then that class is better.
yeah,
And he would be taking a huge gamble on himself if he doesn't like really show off his second year, because that's exactly what Franz Wagner did. Like he didn't have a good college freshman year,
mhm,
stayed an extra year in college, and then he became like the 7th pick in the draft.
yeah,
So I don't know I would not pick him without a lottery pick, our
mhm.
top 10 pick. If he falls to like 19, I would take him.
The
You know,
Bucks pick. You would take him with the
yeah,
Bucks pick.
the
Yeah.
Bucks pick.
Okay.
Maybe I would trade up for him, like package the 19th pick with our second round pick if that's a possibility. But I don't know, I would not move like Rage said. I would not move like heaven and earth to get him. If
Yeah.
he falls to us, I wouldn't mind taking him because the upside is very high, but I don't know. So is the floor.
Yeah. Because I like Rage's idea. If we do get, let's say we land a star wing early. If you're telling me we land like Ace or we get Cooper early, then I'm like, okay, that makes me think maybe we can trade these 2 bottom picks to get a point guard that we can believe in that could just play make. You know what I'm saying? That can just, okay, Cooper, I'm gonna handle the playmaking. Ace, I'm gonna handle the playmaking, and I'm just gonna put you in your spots, and I don't have to do anything else, and maybe shoot sometimes. Like develop my shooting. That way, I think you have your wing and your point guard, or if you get a big, let's say you get a Kaman, you draft a Kaman. I think you look for a point guard at the same time. Like that's the situation. I think Ray just
I'd so I'd agree with that if we get
Mhm.
like Ace or Kaman, but
Yeah.
if we get Cooper Flag, then he is going to be the primary ball handler.
Okay, you were the wrong. You have Cooper running the one.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
not
that's fine.
necessarily not the one per se, but he's got to be the guy
Mhm.
with the ball in his hands. Because look, at Duke, you really saw it. Like his offensive ceiling with Cooper Flag, like he could have the offensive impact of LeBron, where
Mhm.
the ball could be in his hands. He has the strength to collapse the defense, and he's got the passing vision. So
Yeah.
I would run Cooper as like a pseudo point forward.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. Before we get to Igor's shooting, I just want to talk about like a lot of people say that I've seen like a lot of mock drafts and YouTube NBA guys say that the reason why they're scared about putting him at the point guard position in the NBA is because they think it's going to be a little bit too fast for him. The athletes and the speed, like he won't be able to get by guys because of the athlete, how athletic the NBA is. It's the bigger guys, faster guys. He'll have trouble getting up half court, the pressure, and then getting by that man. Like I said, his handle is not really elite, like extremely elite. Um, and people they're worried about him being a point guard. They see him as more of like a secondary connective piece, kind of how like the Bulls use Josh Giddey more. They still have a guard next to him, but sometimes they'll bring him off the bench. Sometimes Josh will be the off guard, and I think that Igor can do that though. Igor can play off the ball. That's the good thing about him because I've seen him in certain games. Like he doesn't need the ball. He can be a catch and shoot guy, and then he can come off screens type of movement guy. But the problem is he's not really the good he's not a shooter.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to say that. It's
he's
like,
not a
oh, he could
shooter.
play. He can play off ball, but he can't hit the
You
shots.
can't hit the shots.
It's
Which is
like
like the
this. It's
problem.
kind of like the same problem with Josh Giddey, and like
Yeah,
you're able to see like kind of with the comparisons, like
yeah,
even with Franz Wagner, not necessarily the greatest shooter. Like Seif said, obviously he also has like that more interior presence, but it's like ultimately to pick Yegor, like
mm,
if we were to pick him like 19th, I think ultimately like Cypher said, if we can get him at 19, that's best case scenario. If you
yeah,
don't have to pick him that high, and he's gonna be able to be there at 19, that's where you take him. There's no point in trying to
yeah.
go overly crazy. But think about it. Like out of all the first round picks that we've had, other than like Cam Thomas, like if Yegor was to turn into a Josh Giddey, that
Mhm.
is way better than anything that we've had in terms of first round
Oh yeah,
picks.
I'll take that
In terms
because
of
yeah,
and then other than like Jared Allen, but even then you
and
know
like
like
I'm not
just as like
saying
a connecting piece, and
yeah,
it wouldn't hurt to just try out. But obviously too, like it's a big question mark. You're gonna want to be able to shoot threes, and ultimately, when you draft a guy, you still want them to be at their max potential. And ultimately, like,
mhm,
if there is that turnover problem, and ultimately, he's just not able to make those shots, then that's not, that's gonna be a problem.
yeah. Because I'm looking at the field goal percentage, and I think Draft Casuals has him at 41. Three
Yeah.
point field goals is 27. Free throws is 670, about 70%. See if you can find some of the on ball creation and off ball shooting. If they, but like my problem is like with him in the NBA, I think he would benefit from like a system team, a team that already has the scoring around him. Like, I think he would be a perfect fit for the Spurs because he already has all that around him. All he has to do is just come in and play make that one role. You know what I'm saying? But the teams that are going to ask him to be that guy, to be the main ball handler, that's where it gets a little scary for me. Like, okay, I don't know if he can be the main ball handler, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he can't get better at that because we saw Giddy make a leap. We saw Giddy shooting get better. You can
Well,
get better at ball handling. You can get better at your handle. You can get
the
better
the
at
thing with Josh Giddey, and look, if the fact that we're bringing up Josh Giddey's name that much,
yeah.
if his ceiling is Josh Giddey, that is a huge problem. And look, no
Mhm,
no disrespect to Giddey, I think he's like a fine player, but
mhm.
look, he improved as a shooter, but still, it's like most of his threes are open because the defense doesn't respect him. He
Yes.
doesn't take like a lot of them. The interior scoring with Giddey isn't there. The off ball cutting is a little bit better, but
Mhm.
not really. Um, like Giddey is still he's gotten a little bit better, and he knows how to use his size a little bit more defensively.
Yeah, he does.
But it took 4 years for
It
him
did.
to get here,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
he's still and
Project.
he's
Yeah.
and he's still not that good. Like I think Giddey could be like a guy on a playoff team if there's like 2 or 3 guys like way better than him.
His ceiling would be role player then, Egor Demin.
Yeah,
You think his ceiling would be role player? Mhm.
yeah,
That's
because
if it were to. Do you think that's if that's were to reach Josh Giddey, or that's like what his ceiling is in general?
if you were to reach Josh Giddey,
Yeah, no, I do. I this necessarily like if it were. I don't necessarily think that is his ceiling, but it's a good player comparison in terms of like,
Mhm.
like offensive archetype. But like, it's a very it's obviously another prospect where it's just you never know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
And it's just like but like like you said, AJ, with like him being connecting piece, if you ultimately put him on a team where we draft a forward, we have Cam Thomas, and
Yeah.
we have another guy he can throw lobs to, and Nick Claxton, and having Jordy Fernandez as a coach, I think that could look really, 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 really good.
Yeah. Like I said, I love him like on a team where the scoring is already established. He has a lob threat big. He has great guys screening for him. All he has to do is use his gift, his mastery gift of passing, and that's all he has to do. I love him on a team like that. But then when you ask him to do too much, that's when I'm like a little scared because
but
it's like,
here's
man,
the thing though, and it's kind of like the Ben Simmons thing where
mm,
in order for him to use his passing, like he needs to have the ball. And
yeah,
if he has the ball, you're taking away the ball from like guys who are better than him. Like,
yeah,
that's the whole thing with Cam Thomas and like Ben Simmons, where in order to utilize Simmons, he need to have the ball, and that kind of stunted Cam Thomas's playmaking.
yeah,
And so in this situation, I think I'd rather just develop Cam's playmaking.
yeah.
Now, unless we really believe in like Igor, because the other comparison, like, and this is the one you'd hope he'd become,
Mhm,
is Franz Wagner, where the playmaking is there, the passing vision is there because he could use his size
yeah,
and like post up on people and create advantage that way. And then the scoring is if his handle could become crafty enough,
Yes.
and he could just drive to the rim. Or
Yes.
and for the off ball, like credit to Franz Wagner,
Mhm.
even though he's not a good shooter, he is one of the best cutters in the NBA.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if Igor could develop like that type of offensive bag, like again, he'd be a superstar. He'd be a top 20 player.
Yeah.
But that's just a huge ask for him.
Huge leap, yeah. And like I said, he's still young. What is he, 18, 19 years old? I think he's
19.
19 years old. So like I said, he has a long way to go. Last thing on his shooting, and then we'll get out of here. Um, I love I really honed on his mechanics. Now, his mechanics look good to me. It doesn't look perfect, but it looks good to me. You know, there's no hitches in his shot. It's smooth. We saw I'll put the videos up too of the NCAA tournament. We saw him, I think 2 games in a row. He hit, I think, 2 threes at least. He was not afraid to shoot them. And that's what I like. He's not afraid to shoot them. And he has a good shot mechanics that could be like if I'm a coach and a shooting coach, I could work with that, help him fix that, and get his shot, percentage up. So as long as he's not afraid to attack and not afraid to shoot, because I see sometimes in BYU in certain games, conference games, he would get a little hesitant and fall into just, that passive, let me pass first, let me not be aggressive. It's like that can take away from your playmaking also if you're not aggressive. You got to be aggressive, and draw the defense at times because you got to be respectable so you can get guys open looks at the same time. You got the grit, you got the gift to pass, but then you got to be respectable shooter at the same time. So yeah, those are the breakdown on Egor Demin, man. Let us know in the comments. There's a lot. It's a polarizing player, man. There's a lot of people talking about him. Some guys want him like Therese said in the top 10. Some guys want him in the middle of the lottery. Some people think he's not worth it. Put him in the 20, 25. Put him in the 20s. Let us know where you would draft Egor Demin. And follow us on Instagram. That's Kingdom1. All our Twitters are scrolling at the bottom, and that's kingdom.net. We're going to be bringing more draft content. See you guys later.